on TV. On the back of your head is. Turn around and smile.
Just shining to the glowing.
No, you don't have, you got hair back there, Joe. Like Joe Biden.
No, nobody's like Joe Biden.
That's right.
Make sure we have
Don't you like his
questions.
I can't believe I wrote it.
Oh,
Okay, I think we're streaming now. We're streaming.
Yes.
Okay. All right, the meeting of the Pages Point Development Authority will now come to order. You have an agenda before you. Are there any changes necessary to the agenda? There are none, and there are no objections. The agenda will stand approved as presented. You received copies of the minutes earlier. Are there any changes, updates to the minutes? Hearing none, if there are no objections, the minutes will stand approved as presented. Before we get going, I want to do one thing. Mac, will you come here? I was thinking, Mac, you know, the last 8 or 9 months that you've spent here may be almost as valuable to us as the first 9 years. Not because you didn't do anything.
I'm trying to think if that's a compliment.
Let me finish. Not that that 9 years wasn't extremely valuable. It was. It made a big difference. But I think coming in at the time you came in and you were willing to come out of retirement to help us right the ship, and you brought stability and you got things moving. I don't know how we'd ever repay you for that. And
Just let me do it.
and I think that also made our transition to Allison amazing. I mean, you were so helpful in that the last few weeks and leading up to that. I think it made all the difference in the world, and we've got a little something for you that won't totally tell you how much we appreciate it, but we thought that you know, it's something that also Ann should be able to enjoy as well. And,
she feels like she's deserved something.
I thought she might be sort of happy you're out of the house. Yeah. Anyway, this is a gift certificate to the Jekyll Island Club.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So you all can go
We've
down
enjoyed
there,
that many times.
take a
That's great.
weekend.
That's terrific. Thank you. She
And
will
we'll just
enjoy
really-
that. Matter of fact, she can take a girlfriend with her, or a
And
sister or
that's
something.
okay too. And the foundation
Thank you. Thank you. I
responsible
appreciate
for
it.
that, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for everything you've done.
Well, my pleasure, and really, truly, it was a blessing to get to come back and do this, and once again, remind myself that, and Allison, I sure has already found it out, that you're only as good as all these folks that support you, and they're really, really good at what they do, so it's kind of hard to fail here, it really is. So, and the board, you don't get much thanks, if any, and it's too bad, because you really are good at what you do, and how you support staff is tremendous, and for, like I say, very little thanks, so good on y'all. Thank you very much.
I got a picture of the two of you real quick. There you go, perfect. Wow.
really, they don't have cable lights.
It's not a great picture setting in here. You can't win.
Hi guys,
Thank you.
smiling.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. I want to ease out and let you do your work. Allison.
That's a drive-by.
Great, indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good luck.
Bye, Mac.
Yeah, I got that bag down there too.
Wish we had a band down there in the place.
Stuff. Thanks a lot.
Good luck, Mac.
See you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank
Committee,
Bye, Mac.
you.
Did you get to see
soon.
Yes, good.
All right, committee reports. Susan, do you have anything?
I do. We didn't meet, but they are doing such a fabulous job in the museum and education. Can't tell how much we appreciate what they do. And Keith is not here today. He has a family thing, so keep him in your prayers if you would. His mother's not doing well. So, speaking of Keith, it's in education. He sent me some information about the EIA and the status of that. At this time, 2,151 additional on-set program documents will be mailed out during the week of March 13th. So what that is that's an outreach to schools and programs and all that. That's a, we're hearing what we do in the EIA and how it's funded and all that kind of thing, how they can come. We're working on a list of all schools that have attended the Flight Academy and EIA programs this year. 768 have attended the Flight Academy so far, and in the EIA has brought in on-site 2,374 students, and then the distance learning piece of it, where we buy science kits and other materials, send them to the schools, and then they do that kind of activity. They used to be closed circuit, but I don't know how he's doing exactly now. But anyway, that number is 6,320 students, which is, to me, just unbelievable.
How many schools is that, roughly?
He doesn't, he might, I don't know. I didn't yellow that up. I'll find out that. All of our science and Flight Academy summer camps that have been conducted in collaboration with the town were filled in the first 3 hours of registration. The town also filled the wait list. Education's meeting with the Medal of Honor staff to discuss options to incorporate the new exhibit changes into the fall curriculum. Al Harrington will be joining the staff as the EIA program coordinator in March. The department is also working on the June Teachers Conference, which is a very successful program that has been held for a long time, and then kind of course, fell off during COVID, but came back last year for the first time. It's a very successful program. Teachers like to come, they spend the night on the ship, and then they're acclimated to all of the resources we have for teaching a lot of their different subjects. He's also adding for the teachers this time a new aeronautical component, which we anticipate to be very, very successful and popular. The new educator's position has closed, and he has 15 applications, and he's conducting interviews, and they'll narrow it to 4, and then Allison will sit in. He's meeting weekly with Greenville Tech to assist with the development of the statewide high school aeronautical elective curriculum. Got the beta information from working with the military magnet, and will be completed in the next 30 days. So all of these things he can do. He's got the demographics and the statistical information to support. I mean, it's really hit the ground running. We're working with the Tech Games, whatever business that is, and EVI, and continuing software development of the Flight Academy. He's changed the programming and the activity that they do to add the Charleston Air Force Base and the ability to fly C-17s. And he's still working on, or struggling with, he says, incorporating a working Dauntless model. So it just amazes me, all the capability we have with what they're doing in education. With Meredith, she has got some exciting news too. She's been working, of course, very hard, as we know, in the archives and working in getting all that organized. And they have started the installation of the All Who Served. The uniforms of World War II has started in the Fragile Collections Room. And on Thursday, April the 13th, from 6 to 8, please remember that there will be a preview reception for All Who Served, opening All Who Served in the Hangar Bay 3. This evening reception will be for members of the press, donors, and board members, and other special guests to view the exhibition before its opening on Saturday, April 15th, which is, of course, the 80th birthday event for the fighting lady turning 80, which I love how that rhymes. Christmas is part of that.
Lady turning 80.
They've got coming out of that and connected to that, they have plans for teach visitors to show them how they are using and collecting and taking care of the collections. They will also, they hosted the Citadel's Art Management Program, and y'all may have seen the thank you notes that Meredith sent us that I thought were so impressive, Tiffany Silverman's class at the Citadel. And future projects, they're working on design and sourcing period materials for the Laffey and the Yorktown ship stores. She's also working to support the Teachers Conference that Keith has July the 13th and 14th, and will be presenting educational component for those teachers that relates to the exhibition All Who Serve. So they'll be utilizing it that way. And planning updates for the dental ward, which I don't even want to know how they did that in World War II.
Right.
That could be a scary one. So thank you, Meredith, for all of that. And then we're looking forward to the exhibition. So do put that on your calendar, April 13th,
Great.
6 to 8.
Thanks, Susan. Any
Thank you.
questions of Susan? If not, Darwin, you get anything? on
Yes, sir, I
finance or
have two
operations?
reports. I have finance and operations. All the numbers I'll be giving you is from July 1 through February. However, one number in the month of February just ended, we did make $225,000 during that month, which is pretty good in a slow month. So year to date, our cash on hand as of the 28th of February, we have $12,620,000 for our cash. Our operating revenues for the same period were $8,500,000. Our expenditures were $6,100,000. So our gain before depreciation and interest for this period is $2,360,000. If you take a look at all these numbers, they include $858,000 that we paid to the state for the Laffey retrofit. We also paid $1,600,000 for the Clamagore recycling and $200,000 to the Patterson lawsuit settlement. These expenses, or these particular items, are not included in normal operating statement, but they're in the non-operating expense category on the income statement. We still have $338,000 to pay for the completion of the recycling of the Clamagore. As far as I know, that's the only major expense that we're still facing. Just to talk a little bit about the activities that make up all these numbers. If you take a look at paid attendance, admission, and parking, they are slightly down from last year. Now, on the other hand, gift shop revenue, lease revenue, camping revenue are all up quite a bit. So for the period, we had a gain of $672,000. Any questions on finance? Okay, from an operating standpoint, for the people that come and count, we're improving some of the storage area and refrigeration capabilities. We have retrofitted the Apollo 8 exhibit. We have an ongoing project for restoration of the flight deck and painting it, and that's proceeding on time. Also, as you know, the state has just completed a 48-day assessment of the environmental issues that we have. There were like nearly 1,200 samples of various substances taken, including lead, asbestos, PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. And a lot of this goes to a lab for research, and all I know is sometimes later, maybe in September, there's a good chance we'll know what the findings are. And once the findings are discovered, then we'll have to launch a plan to deal with them. I think everyone knows that the Congressional Medal of Honor is doing a $3 million upgrade on their exhibit. In operations, we have been training on active violence, emergency response, and at this stage of the game, we have 11 vacancies in the operation department. And Mr. Chairman, that completes my report.
Can you or Mike, at what stage is the Clamagores final?
Well, all I know, it's there, and they're going through it and getting as much of the good material out of it that they can to send to various museum exhibits. But as I mentioned in the financial report, all of the stuff relating to the finishing off of the recycling of the Clamagore is going to cost us another $338,000.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious as to where they were in that.
I think they've gone to several maritime exhibits around the country.
Anything to add, Mike?
Just to update on that, Darwin's absolutely correct on all that information. The boat itself is still not gone into dry dock for final dismantlement. And just to make a point about that, there has not been any release of any exhibit parts or pieces to any other museums yet until we finish the report. So just like the trigger to make that final payment, the boat has to go into dry dock, and then she has to be broken down to her keel or recycled down to her keel. Tim Mullane and Colleen Marine will set all those items aside from us. I submit the final report with photographs and video evidence that the boat has been dismantled, and then NAVC will say, okay, you can release these items to yourself or to other museums. So Colleen Marine is, great guys, have been great partners. I guess I probably assumed that she was going to go right into dry dock as soon as she went up there, and they're going to start breaking her recycling. That's not necessarily the case. So he's got the USS Oak Ridge, a former dry deck ship that has to be towed down there to Norfolk, and then she'll put the Clamagore inside of her, and then they go to work. But he's got other priorities right now, and he said he's going to remain in contact with me, of course, and will let me know.
Of course, he owns the ship now. So
Yes, sir.
what kind of time estimate are we looking at? Do we have any?
I know he wants to get this completed as soon as possible because the faster he works, then he gets more money from the recycling project. I wish I could say. I mean, I think we all have Tim's a great guy, but sometimes,
We're not going to pay the $338,000 until it's the work is
Yeah,
complete.
I'd just like to have it done.
Mike, does he sell the parts?
Well, so let's, if I can step up here. To really skin this cat down. Now, you're talking about the pressure hull and things like that. What he sells, like those lead batteries, that's money. Those lead acid batteries of 504 that weigh about 1,000 pounds each, that's money for him. So he certainly has already gotten rid of those, or he's recycled those and received a cash payment for that.
Does that deduct against our three?
No.
No, the original fee was based on what he would get from that.
But the brass fittings on the boat, the steel itself, all the copper wiring, all of that stuff gets stripped out, and absolutely he recycles that, and that's why he did it. So he's going to make money from that part of it. The rest of the bits and bobs that we want for a potential future exhibit, periscopes or workstations, a lot of those don't have any interest for him necessarily, and he would probably just dispose of them. But a lot of that, there's 6 or 7 other museums that want those pieces, those items, and we've got a laundry list set aside for them.
What do we owe him the $300,000 for?
For the final recycling, for the final, if you can imagine the Clamagore, the way she looks now, not even when she pulled out of here with the sail removed, it looks like a canoe now. It is completely split open like a pea pod, and everything, all the remaining guts have been removed, so it's just you've got the pressure hull steel husk that's remaining, and float perfectly buoyant. She's fine, but that's what the boat looks like right now.
Okay, well, thank you. Just curious about that. Allison, Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, I'm very pleased to be here today, week 3. It's been terrific, and the staff has really just lifted me up and supported me and made this a very soft landing. So I'm very grateful to have such a great team here. And speaking of which, I would like to lead with introducing the newest member of our team, Katie Turner. She is officially the executive assistant now. She has come on board. Thrilled to have her. Thank you, Katie. Okay. So first I want to talk about, because I had a great opportunity to talk to Alan Baldick, our volunteer coordinator. Our volunteers just took their trip that they have not been able to take for a while. 36 of our volunteers did a bus trip Tuesday through Thursday, where they visited the Battleship North Carolina in Wilmington, the Army Airborne Museum in Fayetteville, and Fort Jackson, where they had the opportunity to view an 800-person graduation and sit behind the commanders, and they rolled out the red carpet, and they had a wonderful time and a wonderful trip. The term that Alan used was, it was amazing. So I talked to a couple of other volunteers that just got back yesterday. Great trip. I also wanted to mention, we had talked about our staff reorganization, that Mac was instrumental in putting that together. It went into effect 2 weeks ago. We were able to get everything lined up with state HR and all the things that we needed to do. So that has really gone remarkably smoothly. We are, as you all know, we're now 3 divisions with our 3 deputy directors, and everybody's beginning to meet on a regular schedule. I think we're already seeing a more streamlined process, definitely much more efficient. And I feel like that's just been so helpful to me, and just such a great process. So very smooth kickoff to the new structure. I also want to mention, you will all be thrilled to know that we have started the process. Chris Coleman and Nick Magar have started the process on revamping our technology in the LTF. So when this was built many years ago, it's now very outdated, and we function very differently, and we use our remote capabilities and live streaming. So we are going to do a major technology upgrade to the LTF, and I think this will make us much more efficient, and will bring our remote access much easier and much more reliable. So I will now, we have lots going on the ship. We have a lot of events coming up, as you all saw today, and you'll see when you walk out, we're packed. It's spring break, it's spring, it's on. It's so exciting to see all the kids and everybody on the ship. And in the middle of this, we have a lot of great events coming up. So I'll ask Chris House to come up and tell us a little bit about events and a couple of other things.
Good morning. Real quick about Katie, I gotta kind of commend her on an awesome job in my department before she's gone over to Allison, and kind of helping Mac too. But she got Scrappy program back up and running. If you remember the mascots, us out in the community helping with the Mount Pleasant Parade. We're going to be in the Flower Town Festival in Somerville in a couple of weeks. So she's still straddling 2 jobs until I can hire her replacement. So thank you, Katie, for that. Like Allison said, we have a lot of things going on. We can knock one of them off of our list with the flag raising this morning, so thank you to everybody who attended that. I have a full list. Everything I mentioned I've written down on a guide, and I can give it to each one of you. I just didn't want to clutter the table when you sat down. But 2 o'clock today, there is the press conference. You may have read the article in the newspaper this morning above the full top of the front page about the donation and what the Medal of Honor Society plans to do with the money in their museum. So officially, that will be announced at the press conference today at 2 o'clock in front of the Medal of Honor Museum. At 5:30 this afternoon is a private event that all of you should have gotten an invitation to, a private dinner to welcome the recipients here to Charleston for Medal of Honor Week at the Charleston Yacht Club. So if you haven't received that, please let me know. March 18th, tomorrow, surprisingly, there is a couple of events too. So 10 o'clock tomorrow, there's another reception to kick off the devotion showing that will happen at 11:30. So from 10 to 11, there's coffee and donuts in Hangar Bay 1. At 11 o'clock, the theater opens to the public where people could have bought tickets. It's a free event. Well, I shouldn't say it's free. It's included in admission. So the tickets that we sold for the devotion showing were the same price as our tickets. We just wanted to make it clean so that we didn't have an overwhelming showing in the theater that day. But tomorrow, 11:30, the movie Devotion will be screened in our theater. Following that will be a fireside chat with Tom Hudner III, Thomas Hudner's son. Jesse Brown's grandson will also be there with Ryan Pitts, who will lead the society as the recipient involved, and John Falconberry. Following that, we'll leave we'll leave the theater to go to Hangar Bay 1, where there'll be a traditional wreath laying in honor of not just recipients, but anybody who's served and paid the ultimate sacrifice there. So again, that's at 11:30. Starts at 10 to 11 for the reception, and then public event from 11:30 to about 2:30 or 3. March 20th through the 24th. So you keep seeing Medal of Honor week. There are things that happen every day. Midweek next week, Sunday through Friday, there will be oral histories that are played in our theater. So normally we play a 15-minute commercial or series of commercials in between the carrier will lead our signature film. Instead of those commercials, we're replacing them with oral histories from different branches of the military related to Medal of Honor history. So that will be playing all week. On the 25th, there's a lot going on, which is great. Some you had to pay for, and some that are included in admission. First, there's storytelling tours. So Laura Jody and her team at the Medal of Honor Society has worked a lot with our volunteers and tour guides to create a tour where people could, instead of the captain's tour that day that we do through Bulldog, we're not selling those. In place of that, we're doing these storytelling tours where you get an hour-and-a-half tour to go throughout the ship in on the Laffey to learn about stories that relate to the Medal of Honor using our exhibitions that we have here. So there's 4 or 5 different tours for that, but we're also doing one for a local scout group. So Somerville Boy Scout group, our troop, will be here in the morning for a complimentary tour to kick off the day before we go into visitors. And then included in admission are these stops that our volunteers will be at all throughout the museum. General Livingston has provided a lot of the citations that will be on display throughout the entire hangar deck, so you can stop and read about any of the recipients and what they were, how they earned the medal, and read their citations. So that's all throughout the day, throughout the entire museum on Medal of Honor Day. So those events are just related to Medal of Honor Day, and we'll skip through, still in March, but to Vietnam Veterans Day related events. I'm proud to announce that keep pointing to you like you're the foundation. Through the help of the USS Yorktown Foundation, we secured a sponsorship to help us put on events on March 29th for Vietnam veterans with Clover Health. So they provided $10,000 to the foundation to help us support things that day. So Vietnam veterans and their immediate families are free, or will be offered free admission the entire day, March 29th. And then through the morning, we created a committee with Vietnam veterans who are also volunteers here to make sure that we do things appropriately, and they can give us good feedback about our plans and actually be in part of those plans. Last couple of years we do things and then we get feedback afterwards. We figured we'd bring that ahead of time and use them to help us, and they love that idea. So we'll be pinning Vietnam veterans like we've done in the past. But going back to the correct way of doing things, where somebody comes and are pinned on their chest or shirt with the Vietnam veteran pin, and not just given the little box. So we'll be doing that all day in the Vietnam experience, just outside of where the PBR is. We also have the VA hospital, the Ralph Johnson VA Medical Center, that will be here with services to let veterans know what they qualify for, what's there for them. And they'll have a tent where 3 or 4 different programs will be here represented there. The Daughters of American Revolution, the DAR, will be here with Cleve McClary's family has been very helpful this year with Vietnam Veterans Day, and specifically his daughter Tara, who's helped us do the program that's in the evenings, but she's helped get some volunteers from DIR to help us with letter writing. So families and visitors will be encouraged to write letters of support and gratitude to Vietnam veterans that DAR will then take and mail to veterans that they have on their list. So they are helping us with that. And then 11 o'clock, we will be honored to have Colonel Myron Harrington from the Battle of Way City. He was part of a symposium we did many years ago. His story is remarkable. Many say that, you know, he should have been awarded the Medal of Honor for what he did. He will be here as our guest speaker on March 29th at 11 o'clock. Yes, sir. A free ceremony and the Vietnam experience for anybody who wants to attend. And our volunteers have helped us put this ceremony on. So there'll be a color guard, a local JRTC group from Wando High School will be doing the color guard. Thanks to Aaron Franklin, our flight academy, for helping arrange that. We have a bagpiper that we will have, and we will do taps. And Colonel Harrington will be the guest speaker, introduced by Woody, who was our guest speaker last year. So Allison will lead things off that day. And welcome people to Patriots Point. We're also hoping, and we've put a lot of work into having a proclamation read by the governor announcing Patriots Point as home for Vietnam veterans on Vietnam Veterans Day. So a lot of work going into just that ceremony. But later on that night at 7 o'clock, we have a partnership with PBS to host a program called Lucy's Boys. I've mentioned this a few times, but Lucy Caldwell was a woman who wanted to participate and help in the Vietnam War. And basically went to the USO and said, what can I do to help? Went to Vietnam and ended up bedside writing letters home for Vietnam veterans who were injured and unable to write letters. So she sat and read hundreds of letters for men who were injured back home. And then so many years went by and people haven't heard from these men. So we're doing a reunion and bringing the veterans back to Patriots Point. And PBS and Charlotte did a 3-part series on Lucy, 2 of which have already aired. The 3rd will be filmed during our program. So 7 o'clock on March 29th, we'll play the two first episodes of the 3-part series, and then sit down and have a discussion with the Vietnam veterans and Lucy's family about what it meant and being able to have that communication back home. Cleve McClary will be part of it too. The College of William and Mary will be here. The Commandant from the Citadel will be part of the program. So a lot going into to that program at 7 o'clock on March 29th, which is also free, but we are asking people to reserve their seats because we thought that it'd be a very popular event. And then thanks again to the foundation for their support in Clover Health that paid for a lot of the ways for the Vietnam veterans to attend this ceremony that they wouldn't have been able to afford. So that is March 29th and Vietnam Veterans Day related events. Skipping to April 13th, of course, you've heard Meredith talk about the reception. We're all very excited for the exhibition to open and have a reception plan that we're working on getting invitations out to next week. So private reception to thank those who donated or helped us build the program, donating money to, and then just general supporters, some of which Meredith found their stories, and you know, maybe they donated an artifact that will be part of that exhibition and we want to tell their story. So that will be on April 13th. You all will get a private invitation to that. Just let us know if you want more information. April 14th will be the preview or the opening of the exhibition for Friends of the Fleet members. So, you know, we have an annual pass that we have that will eventually over the next several years turn into a membership program. We try to open things a day earlier, give them a special perk. So this is one of those, Friends of the Fleet Day on April 14th. And then on April 15th, the Fighting Lady turns 80. I wish I could claim that name, Susan, but it was several people helped put that together for us. So from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock that day, we'll have events. Our goal for the day in admissions is 2,600 people. We have goals and objectives for all kinds of other things. Hands-on learning is a big part of it, bringing families. Our collections team will have a table and a series of events that day to talk about the new exhibition and relate to that. A meet and greet with USS Yorktown veterans. The Yorktown Association is involved in helping us with that. We'll have a DJ that's specifically geared to playing songs and music from different eras of the ship's history. And then throughout the day we'll do giveaways. We have shirts, we have face painting. We're going to buy several sheet cakes, and you know how the Navy loves to cut cakes and celebrates with cakes, so we'll have cake to cut and give out. Of course, we'll sing happy birthday for the kids, and if we can, we'll do a sparkling juice toast. You know, you got to toast things too. And then possibly cap it off with a ship's horn. So a lot going on for that day. I'll probably hit just a small bit of what's planned. Every department is involved and has teams working on this. And while we're doing that, we also have Flowertown Festival and planning for things like the Charleston Race Week that we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a minute, and many other things. So lots going on this spring, a lot going to share with you. But I have all of these written out. If you want it, please come see me, or I'll come see you, and happy to hand them out.
And speaking of Charleston Race Week, the International Journal of Sailing is called Scuttlebutt. Scuttlebutt Mag. Did you see the mention in there?
I've seen some of the stuff online. I've not seen the scuttlebutt portion of
It
it.
came up in a Google alert to me about the town, and it is a wonderful write-up
Oh, good.
about
Oh,
Patriots
good.
Point stepping in, because that's an internationally known regatta. And Scuttlebutt is huge. I mean, it's like the CNN of the yachting world. And
that's
and there we
great.
are. And I thought this is fantastic. My son, who's in the yachting business, was real impressed that we were mentioned.
Oh,
in
that's
Scuttlebutt.
wonderful.
So
Thank
that
you
was
for
pretty
sharing
cool.
that.
We
So, but thank y'all for that.
Yes,
That
sir.
was-
A lot of it, Mike's
Yes.
staff, I'm sure he'll mention it, but across the entire staff, we're working on that. But we submitted a comment about posting it for the Post-Courier, and for us, you got the great views, but also the inspiration that we offer for people for the stories here that relate to the Marine and Navy and military history. So we're trying our best to connect that with this event. So
That's great.
that's
Thank
what
you
I have.
so much.
Oh, the signs. Did you want me to mention the signs?
Yeah, mention the signs.
So you came in, we're doing our best to help control the speed limit on Patriots Point Road. So you'll see the new signs up that are wayfinding for Patriots Point Road. They're all installed. There are some change orders that Terry and I are working with them. The cottages, it says the cottages and it's going to be the cottages on Charleston Harbor. We're working with Lisa Crawley to make sure that that's right. And part of the way we design these signs are that changes like that are easy to do. Another change that we're going to make is when you go around the roundabout, it's nearly impossible to envision that until you had a sign in the ground. So we didn't make that permanent. We made it to where we can move it depending on how it looked when we went through. So of course we noticed right away that we need to move it to the left. So it'll go from one side of the road in that roundabout to the center island right there and kind of catty cornered, so you know whether you're going right or to the left for the golf course. So those are the two changes we're making. The next stage of that project, we wanted to break it up into pieces so that we can control it, and if there was something we found that we wanted to fix, we did it before all of the signs are done. But the welcome sign for Welcome to Patriots Point, we are working on that next. We want to make it say home of the USS Yorktown and make sure we don't lose that as people come into Patriots Point. And then we'll work on the Coleman sign once the intersection is done. We're very aware of that sign, but really wanted to wait until the intersection is done to see how it looks and we don't get in the way or dirty a new sign. So that is the sign update.
Is there anything else going on? Is that, oh my goodness.
Well, you're going to hear a little bit about what else is going on. Thank you, Chris. That's great.
That is amazing.
Chris is doing an amazing job keeping all of those balls in the air. It's a lot going on, but very exciting. Mike, do you want to come up? We've had a couple. We've been meeting with some staff. Patty and Mike have been meeting with the Race Week folks, but we really stepped it up here in the last couple of weeks. So I'll let Mike share a report on Race Week.
Right. Briefly, so as Allison mentioned, weekly we coordinate with Anna and Randy Drafts regarding the requirements for Race Week, which are April 20th to the 23rd here at Patriots Point. Now those are the dates, 4 days, but I have to mention that it's really about the 18th through the 24th that their footprint's going to be at Patriots Point. So to the wave top summary, because there is a lot, and I can only stress this to you all, that it will stress the staff to coordinate a lot of things, because it's a huge event. There's over 220 racing boats that are going to descend on Mount Pleasant, with about 6 to 8 people per boat. So 1,500-ish sailors will be in the area. To try to cast the net, really daily landside, you're going to have about 6 to 8 tents, several vendors set up along the old road with their trucks and trailers, because that's where the registration for the daily for those racers are going to happen. They'll be issued badges and, of course, wristbands. They're not going to be coming aboard the ship during the daytime. In the evening, the first evening is Thursday the 20th. There is a reception on Yorktown and Hangar Bay 3, and that will be several hundred people, 500 to 600 folks in Hangar Bay 3. The 21st is a Friday. We have to move those folks out because we're hosting the Lucy Beckham Prom Friday evening on the 21st. We usher those folks out, and then of course Saturday we set up again for a reception, the Pro-Am on Saturday evening on the flight deck and also in Hangar Bay 3. And that will additionally be several hundred people, 600 to 800 folks on our flight deck and also in Hangar Bay 3. And they're going to be overviewing and watching, I guess, a race in the harbor. So we went up there and took a look at it. Okay, got it. Sunday, it wraps up Sunday afternoon from the 23rd, excuse me, from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's the award ceremony. Only about 250 to 300 people show up for that because a lot of the racers leave if they don't win. They punch out, so they get out of here. On the ship itself, during the day, there will be judges that will set up. We've given them space to, if there's disputes or whatnot, we'll give them the wardroom, and they can have racing crews and the officials have a proper meeting room there. They will be selling during their events. They'll set up kiosks and things like that with their vendors after hours during the evening that will assist with that. There's going to be a lot. I guess I can't really stress it without going into great detail. There's going to be tonnage landside. There's going to be tonnage on the pier. There's going to be EMTs. There's going to be folks on the flight deck in Hangar Bay 3 in the afternoon or the evenings. So we're doing extensive coordination with those folks. They've been very user friendly, very helpful. They're agreeable. We're just sorting through the details now, really drilling down into the refined plan, and I think we'll be fine. So we're going to do a final walkthrough, I think, on the 12th or 13th of April, from start to finish, and make sure that we're all straight and ready to make this happen. So feel much better after the last couple days.
It's just, if there are injuries, and there usually are they coming to here, or are they using the harbor resort?
That's a great question, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if they're going to bring sailors that are injured out there here.
Okay.
I know to that point, Anna asked about having an EMT parked on our pier, and of course, sure. My assumption, I didn't make that leap of logic. I thought that maybe in case someone during an evening event or a guest was injured, that they wanted to do that. But maybe to that
I'll talk to Randy or whatever.
Okay.
But the reason I brought that up, if you see somebody being transported and you see lights and sirens, there's always an injury during race.
I didn't know that.
Always.
I didn't know.
Randy may not say that, but I've done it many times and seen it. So
Nice.
yeah.
Huh. All right.
It could probably be just as easily done over at the Harbor Resort and Marina than here, but I'm not trying to meddle with how y'all set it up. But
I don't.
'cause
I've not heard that mentioned. I can only say that the Harbor Resort and Marina has not been, unless I'm mistaken.
She was specific about the ambulance being parked
Yes.
on our pier and
was that for landside or for the competitors, or do we know? Or both?
Again, I failed to ask. My assumption was for here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there were injuries during the sailing event. I guessed that. So I'll find out.
But we'll find out.
With all going on that week, do we need, is it okay, our board meeting's gonna fall on Friday? Right?
It does.
Okay with everybody?
What?
Our board meeting is gonna be that week. I mean, is that from a staff perspective, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff?
Do we need to move it so they don't have one more thing to?
It's a bit of an all hands event, and there are a lot of moving parts. We also have campers and school groups. I mean, we have all of our regular things going on, so it will be very lively. That stretch.
I think we should look maybe at either the week before or the week after, if we could sort of take a look at that. And I think that sounds like we don't need anything else
No.
going on that week.
But if I've got my calendar right, thank you, Mike. Do we have any more questions for Mike? I'll let him sit down. Thank you. That would put the timing during our 80th anniversary event, so that might work really well. I believe those dates are right. So that event is Thursday evening, and then there's the event on Saturday. So that would make it easier to have you guys here.
Well, anytime we can do events like that around a board meeting, it certainly encourages more.
Yes, sir.
To be
Thanks.
We've talked about that and some other things, so I think we should look at that and
Okay.
make a decision by Monday, unless
I think it's great.
it's all right. Any of you see anything?
So
in
we
the
would be moving
calendar?
it to the 24th, maybe. Is that right?
Or the
Or the-
16th. Is that
Or 15th.
no, the 14th. Is that date
14th.
right?
I'm sorry,
The 14th
I'm in the
is
wrong
Friday.
Friday.
So is that right, the 14th?
Yeah, it'd be the 14th.
Yes, the 14th. And so the event, the reception is the 13th, and have the board meeting. And then if you wanted to participate in Saturday, that would work really well. That works much better, actually.
Okay. When we tentatively schedule that for the 14th, if you take a look at it and you have an issue with it, then let us, let Allison know.
Do committees on Thursday?
Okay. I mean, however we can do that, whatever we need to do.
You said March or April?
April.
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 April 13th.
Because the event is in the evening, so it's fine.
Okay. Anything else with the reports?
That's it. Just to mention, as you all know, after we wrap up here, we will have a little field trip up to the flight deck. Gordon Ponsford is very excited to show off his work on the aircraft restoration, 15 or 20 minutes, and just see the work that's going on. He's right in the middle of painting the F-18, so it's a fun time to see it in the works. And that's it.
Great. Thank you. Any questions of Allison or any other staff? If not, are there any public comments? If not, the board will entertain a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of discussing contractual, legal, and personnel matters.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it.
St. Patrick's
Patrick.
Day. gonna happen next.
What does he drink? Take him a bottle of something.
Not everything.
Thank you. We're live streaming again.
Okay.
Okay, we're out of the executive session, no votes were taken. There's no other meeting, no other new business to come before the board. Our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for April 14th now.
Yes.
April 14th. If they're committee meetings, they'll be the Thursday before. And when thinking about it, the 80th anniversary will be on the 16th,
Yeah.
56th, whatever, 15th. So keep that in mind as you're planning. Hearing nothing else, the meeting's adjourned.
Don't forget about 2 o'clock if you're here.
Yeah, 2 o'clock news conference.
Then the
Yeah.
cocktail party. Are y'all
Oh.
coming to the cocktail party?
Remember, we're going to the deck.
Tonight, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the yacht club.
Yeah.
5:30.
Yeah.
You want the list of those events? You guys interested?
Thank you.